This is a podcast presented by
Hard to Find Media.
Subscribe to Hard to Find Media on youtube.com/Hard to Find Media Network. This shit is free. Share it. Blast it.
Hello, you are listening to Accents on Purpose, a weekly radio show dedicated to covering the ins and the outs of the DIY Seattle music scene, Pacific Northwest and beyond. My name is Danny, and we are broadcasting from the studios of KAOP, AM 1045. A message to our longtime listeners. I have some bad news. Joseph will not be on the show for the foreseeable future. He is following up on some DB Cooper leads, and I've really lost all contact with him. But we have a pool of reoccurring guest hosts, starting with the return of our good old friend Sam.
How you doing, Danny?
Not too bad, Sam. How are you doing?
Not too bad.
If you want to learn more about Sam, I'd go back a few episodes and listen to the episode titled Love the Band, Love the Location, and you will get Sam's complete history.
Yeah, I suppose. That's accurate.
How are you doing, Sam?
Not too bad. Not too bad. Just been working a lot.
Anything exciting happen at work?
As a matter of fact, as if you listen to that episode, you'd know Danny loves a particular story about me where someone made a comment about my tattoo. That's a Mexican bingo card. But something a little different happened this last time where a customer came in and asked for the bathroom code. What's the code? And so I start to tell it to him, and she just starts laughing. It's like a 40-year-old woman, and she just starts laughing, and so I pause, and I'm like, and then she just is like giggling, and then she's like, you have a space between your teeth.
Holy fucking shit.
And I'm like, okay. And then I just give her the bathroom code, and then she's like, I'm sorry, it just makes me laugh.
What? Holy shit.
Yeah.
If you're that woman, I have several questions I want to ask you. Please email accentsonpurposepodcast@gmail.com.
That's accentsonpurposepodcast@gmail.com. So how you doing, Danny?
Not too bad. You know, something funny happened at my work. This is bizarre. As someone who worked and owned a record store, you might appreciate this, or all of our fans might just appreciate it. There was this couple in the store, and it was a man and a woman, and I'm pretty sure they were dating. He came up, they came up, and he went to buy a $90 Elliott Smith record, which it was a first press, little crease on one corner, so it's, it would be worth more than that, but you could get a repress for like $20.
Yeah.
As he's giving it to me, he's like, yeah, so I just got an Elliott Smith tattoo, so I guess I should buy this record. Which, then he said, do you want to see the tattoo? And when someone asks you if you want to see their tattoo, you have to say
you have to say
I would be amazed if someone said, no, fuck it.
What would their reaction be if you just said, not really?
Yeah, and I take customer service in high regard, and so I said, sure, let's see the tattoo. And he had it like right on his wrist, or just above the wrist on the like inside. And it was just some words and like an arrow and a heart. I don't know. There's a bunch of things. It wasn't like really obviously that Elliott Smith tattoo, unless you knew the lyrics. And I didn't know what to say at a moment like that. So I was just like, oh, that's some nice shading. Because it was. And then I looked at his girlfriend, and I was like, did you do this? And she, I don't think, was happy about the tattoo. I don't think she was happy about the $90 record purchase, and she was not happy about that joke. And she was just like, no, I didn't do it. Maybe the next one. But then the kicker to the story is, as they're walking out the door, he said, well, I guess I should buy a record player now.
No.
Yes, I swear to God. And so now I'm thinking, like, what if he did just go to Urban Outfitters and get like a Crosley, and then he's just sitting in that apartment with just the one record, playing it over and over again.
That's fitting.
And then I was thinking about, like, what if you just started dating someone and you noticed they had a weird obsession about like one person, especially one person who had an untimely demise, and I don't know. It was weird. It was a very weird situation.
I just wonder if everything about his life going forward is going to be
Elliott
Elliott Smith
related,
themed.
That does happen though occasionally. That's happened to me on 2 different occasions when I had my store.
So do you think that when she gets pregnant, the first thing she's going to say is, "We're not fucking naming it Elliot"?
Elliot, yeah. He's like, what about Smith?
Oh. But that's enough of that. We have some guests in the studio. I'm really excited. We are lucky to have Alex and Warren, hosts of Seattle's hottest podcast, Personal Effects. What, if our listeners were going to go and subscribe to your podcast, what would they be in store for? What is Personal Effects? What happens on it?
Every episode centers around usually 1 or 2 people and an object that has had a dramatic or unusual effect on their lives. This started off as kind of based on a object in my life that was a cassette player, a toy cassette player that I found this tape in it, and the tape led me on this whole journey to find the original person who made the tape, and it actually is what got me into podcasting and radio in general, and now that's my career. And
Bragger.
I'm a bragger. But I mean, also what got me into podcasting is Alex, and when we worked together at a video store, she was like, "Warren, do you like podcasts?" And I was like, "What is a podcast?" And so, she got me into.
What was the first podcast that you listened to?
Risk.
Which one is that?
It's Kevin Allison's. And back then, I mean, still, I was really into The State, and, Wet Hot American Summer. And he was a member of The State who had not really done a lot since The State.
Yeah.
And he started a podcast that mostly had people from The State on it.
It's really hard to find clips of The State, I found. Have you found any on like YouTube and stuff?
Well, it's on DVD.
Anyways, that's
Don't you have it?
Ooh, let me tell you the story.
Oh,
of my State DVDs. No, I was like so jazzed, like when the State was, because it took forever for the State DVDs to come out. Essentially, there was this huge thing with the music rights, and they had the guy from Shudder to Think actually go back and re-record versions of all the songs that were in the skits.
That's funny.
To sound like the original songs. And so when it finally came out, I bought it, first day through the video store, and
a little bit of a discount, did we?
Yeah, 10%.
Oh,
something like that.
Yeah.
Really saved that money.
I had it for maybe a week before my friend Brittany was like, "You have to let me borrow this." Brittany.
Brittany not a friend anymore?
Brittany is not a friend anymore. And she just kept it forever. I bug her on a weekly basis.
Do you want us to take over?
Well,
I mean, I got a little side business.
But yeah, she moved from house to house to house. And I was like, I gotta get those State DVDs back.
She's dodging
would you be like, "I'll help you move," so that you could just find it and just leave?
And she kept having this excuse: "It's in some box in the basement." And
she constantly moved just so she wouldn't have to give you back the State DVDs.
And eventually, it became the thing that is why we're not friends anymore.
Whoa.
So
wow.
Yeah. So I still don't have that DVD set.
That was like a little mini Personal Effects right there.
Yeah.
Are you pissed at Warren that he wasted this on our podcast?
Yeah. I'm super pissed.
Alex, what was the first podcast you ever listened to since you introduced Warren to it?
I don't know. I guess This American Life doesn't count, right? Because it was a...
It doesn't count, yeah. Because that was,
I don't know. It's a long time ago. Maybe Risk.
Yeah.
Doug Loves Movies.
Mm-hmm.
Those two.
Those were the first 2 that I got really, really into, and this is what basically all we connected on back then was talking about that show.
It's all you had in common.
So was Personal Effects the first idea you had, or did you have other ideas that didn't take off?
Oh, I had an idea.
What's that?
The Apology Podcast.
Oh yeah, I still think that's a good idea.
Yeah, we should still do that.
You want to say it?
I can say it, yeah.
Okay. Are you worried someone might steal your idea?
No one's gonna steal it.
What would a typical episode be like?
Okay, well, it had a name, right? The Apology Tour. and an episode would just be someone apologizing for something.
Like someone specific, like, hey, that time that I pooped in your house.
Yeah. And you just get both people.
Oh, you get both people on there.
Yeah.
So you hear both sides of the
Yeah,
story,
you record
and then you
the
hear
apology. Yeah.
and then you hear the apology.
Yeah.
Wow,
Ooh.
that's pretty.
Maybe I can get Brittany.
Oh,
To apologize.
First
Apologize to
episode.
me.
Oh, that was another thing though, is I thought it would be good if occasionally there were episodes where people said, I think you owe me an apology.
that'd be good.
And
And
then
to see if they would actually give the
Oh my
apology.
god. Yeah.
Ooh, and then spin-off episode, I have nothing to apologize for.
Oh.
And then someone making their case like, this happened, and you know what?
Yep.
Some people I think I should apologize. No.
No.
Yeah. Yeah. That was my idea. Warren was like, no, I got this other idea.
Well, I think the wheels were already in motion by the time you brought that up to
So
me.
at any point did you, since you both worked at a video store, at any point did you talk about doing a movie podcast? Or you just thought that like that's too generic?
It just seemed like the market was saturated already, even at that early stage when we were working there. We haven't worked at the video store in 4 years. When did it close? 2014? You left long before that.
A few years before.
And went back and then left and went back and went back.
I'm sure I was still on the payroll.
But I mean, I had originally, and I think I talked to you about this, Danny, is that I had originally had this idea for the podcast to just be about found audio.
Yeah.
What?
Talk to your mic.
Oh my god, I thought you were pointing at a spider
thought-
web.
No.
I was like, a
I'm
spider's
sure
there.
there's definitely spider webs though. You're just like inching farther away.
Well,
from
it's
your
because
mic, like,
because since Warren has like a radio career, he's used to more professional mics, and so
no, we share a mic like half the time.
you have headphones though. I saw that picture.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
They
you
made
don't
us
have
put on those headphones.
They made you put on the
Yeah.
headphones
Yeah.
for the photo op.
We weren't even listening to anything.
You,
Yeah.
you were just hearing. It was a little muffled because you couldn't really hear each other because the headphones were on.
That photo op, they took like 700 photos of us.
So for our listeners, you were featured. What was it? It was in the Seattle Times, and it was "Say Anything: Breaking the Mold" or "Podcast Breaking the Mold." What was the subtitle?
Seattle podcasts that break the mold.
Do you feel that you broke the mold? What is the mold of a
I don't know
podcast?
that.
Because podcasts are so diverse.
I think that basically Seattle Times readers didn't know podcasts were a thing, and this is look what's a thing.
It's not just Serial.
Yeah.
I didn't know that about Serial for a while, but that like it was just a bunch of squares who found out about it. Like like regular podcast listeners listened, but then it was like they were so big because people who had no idea what a podcast was.
Let me tell you a story about my mom who listened to Serial.
Let's hear it.
She listened to all of Serial.
Did she buy an iPod just to listen to it?
No, she did not on her iPhone. But she listened to all of Serial, and anytime my podcast comes up, she's like, I don't know how to get that.
Oh.
I just don't. I can't figure it out.
She's like, "Would you figured out cereal?"
Yeah, she did.
Do I have to like get a card at a grocery store, like where they have like the Chili's thing and the Starbucks gift card, and here's a podcast
Or
gift card?
I was thinking like the call cards, like the phone cards.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah.
I'm surprised Serial isn't out on vinyl.
It is.
It is?
No, record store day. Yeah.
Oh,
no,
really?
You're kidding.
I'm not, and we sold it.
You're
Wow.
fucking kidding.
Nope. It was a record store release, 1,000 copies, the theme music from Serial.
Wow.
Oh, just the theme music.
Oh, okay.
I thought it was the-
Oh.
I thought the same thing too. I was like, oh.
Where were we?
We were talking about, so you kind of decided that, you had this found audio idea.
Yeah, and I pitched it to a few radio stations in town. KUOW actually was interested in that idea for like half a second, and but I couldn't get any other stories. That's why I was like really like on your case about getting your thing about your tape, because I really wanted to show that here's the thing that's sustainable.
Yeah.
And then it just kind of became this like, well, what if it's just about a thing?
Yeah.
Like, everyone has a story that's connected to it. They're called conversation pieces for a reason. And so ever since then, we've just been bugging all of our friends like, hey, do you have a story about an object?
So what are some of the people that you've come in contact with?
Well,
There's the sweater.
the sweater, that was one of our first episodes with our friends Sean and Ricky. They found Vince Lombardi's sweater at a thrift store in Tennessee, and it sold it for $45,000 and bought it for 50 cents.
Yeah, and I remember when that happened, and there was like a bunch of news stories, but I liked your version, and I think maybe they even addressed it, that it was a little bit more fun because like time had passed, and they had like they were able to like think about it more.
Right.
And so it was actually like a better story than all the news stories that came out about it, like
Right.
at the moment.
No, and all those news stories were garbage, and even the Stranger Thing, which I thought was a little bit more in depth with just like an interview. I think at that point in time, Sean and Ricky were more not so family oriented, and Sean was I don't know, a little bit wilder, and was just kind of fucking with interviewers back then. And by the time we got to him, he'd calmed down a little bit and had been a little bit more reflective.
He was very calm.
Yeah.
But he used to be a crazy man,
Mm-hmm.
right? He was in a band called
Tit Pig?
yeah.
Tit Pig.
Yeah, they used to throw firecrackers into the audience.
If you got hit by one of those firecrackers, please email us at accentsonpurposepodcast@gmail.com.
That's accidentsonpurposepodcast@gmail.com.
So of all the people, so you have like what, 10 episodes?
We're on our 10th. Our 10th is coming out.
Your
this
10th is
week.
coming out this week. That's why you're on this press junket.
Yeah, that'll be the season finale.
Of all of those, who's the person that you knew the least? Or like is the furthest removed? Like,
Oh, that guy in Florida.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
So a friend of a friend, Paulette, my friend who's a writer here in town, she grew up with this guy who lives in Florida who
which
has a
is,
story.
gotta say, is a red flag.
Yeah.
What's his name?
I don't remember.
Oh, he did have a funny name.
I don't know why I can't remember it right now.
It's okay.
Anyway,
Florida man.
Florida man spent some time in Alaska and had a bunch of buddies who were also from Florida visit him in Alaska. They found, while hiking, a ceramic head, a head that is made out of
Like a terracotta.
pottery.
Yeah.
They stole it and took
Well, they
it.
didn't steal it. I mean, they found it on a mountain and they took it.
Yeah, I guess that'd be just stealing from nature. They took it from
Well,
the
but it's
place
not
where it was.
natural.
Nature, yeah.
Like if you go to a state park and there's an endangered flower, that's stealing.
stealing.
That's
But,
stealing
like,
from nature.
But yeah, but if you're on a mountain and there's
I'm
a
just saying
man-made
it's
object,
in nature.
Yeah.
we're all in nature, man.
Like if it was in this middle of the city, I would say stealing from the city.
The city.
Okay.
Anyway, so they took it, and one by one, they all had. Well, actually, two of them were in the same vehicle, but they all had rollover vehicle accidents. Very shortly, like within a month of them stealing this head, and so it actually had come back with them to Florida, and they wanted to get it back, and they took it back up to the mountain. But it was shattered at this point and in a million pieces. But they took it back to the place where they found it, and have not had a rollover car accident since.
How did you end up hooking up with him? Just because of the friend of the friend?
Friend of a friend. And
Did
that's
you
what
have to
was-
hound him, or
Oh.
Yeah, that was brutal.
yeah?
No, tracking him down.
That was like 2 emails a week. That became 3 emails a week, and then just a ton of phone calls, and he had completely ghosted.
Well, he was a photojournalist,
Yeah.
and it was during that huge storm that they had in
Oh,
Florida,
yeah.
and so he was working all the time, and he was just too busy to get back to us.
Is there one that got away? Is there a story that just?
Oh
Well,
yeah.
that fucking clothes guy. When we first started, there was a guy that was a regular at one of Warren's friends' restaurants.
Don't say the
in-
name because we don't get paid for advertising.
I don't know the name.
Yeah.
Wink.
Bellingham.
In
Wink.
Bellingham. Yeah, in Bellingham. And he was an older gentleman, and he would go into the restaurant every day and I think like order the same thing. And he would wear...
So far, I like this guy.
Yeah, you're
Danny's kind of guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Was it Danny?
I don't go to Bellingham that much.
he would also wore the exact same outfit every day.
Okay, that
And-
I don't like. Because one of three things. One, it smells really bad.
Yeah.
2, he washes it every day. Waste of resources. 3, he has several versions of the same outfit.
It's the
Bingo.
third
Is
one.
it really a third
Yeah.
one? Oh, Jesus.
The story is that he liked this pants and shirts combo so much when it was in the 80s that he bought a lifetime supply. What he thought was a lifetime supply of both
Was
the
it a
pants
department
and the
store or?
we don't know. But it's all he's worn since. But as it turns out, these shirts and pants are super durable, so he has like enough for like 100 lifetimes.
Wow.
Yeah.
Do you think he has a will?
Who's he gonna give the rest of the lifetime
Well, that
supply?
was
Like, does it
like-
go to
of
one
clothes
person? Does it go to like 15
Or his
people?
generational just
Yeah.
keeps wearing the same outfit for generation and generation.
When we were gonna go out there, my last question in my mind was like, we gotta ask him if we can have a shirt and pants, and then take a picture of all of us together wearing the outfit.
Wearing the same
That would be
outfit, that would be
great.
amazing, yeah.
But he just the friend of Warren's was really reluctant to put us in contact with him because
He didn't want to lose a regular, essentially.
I can
Yeah.
understand.
Yeah.
I can.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, what are you making fun of? Like, yeah. Like,
Yeah,
it seemed like-
exactly. Yeah.
and we ended up finding him.
Like, yeah,
on
trying
the
to
internet.
explain to an old man what a podcast is and like all
Yeah.
these things. That sounds like some horse shit to me.
Yeah.
If it's not Art Bell, then I don't listen.
That's come up several times, though. I mean, like, yeah.
Why don't you just go to Bellingham and stake out the restaurant?
Because the restaurant closed.
Oh my
Yeah.
god!
So we don't know where he is now. He's probably just lost, wandering in the
Wandering
desert.
with a sack full of the same outfit.
I mean, can you imagine?
A stick?
caravan of just like
Can you imagine going to that estate sale and being like, wait, what?
As you flip through and it's just, okay.
oh man, yeah.
Tags are still on this one.
Well, another weird thing about this story is that it came to my attention because I was pursuing this other story about the Bellingham Bubbles. Have you heard about this?
No.
There's this movie about grunge called Hype.
Yeah.
One of the first interviews in this is with this band called the Mono Men, who are a Bellingham band on Sub Pop. They, at the beginning of this film, talk about how living in Bellingham, they're basically reminiscing about this time when giant bubbles filled with toxic gas would float around the downtown area and people would literally like run from them.
That's amazing.
Yeah, and they said that they're the size of Volkswagens, and
Oh,
they
wow.
would like literally just
Very
meander
specific.
around town, and so I'd never heard anything about that, and so I actually got in contact with one of the guys. From
And you're
Monument.
pretty in deep with the bubble community.
Yeah, I am.
You think that, you know.
If anyone knows about the bubbles,
Yeah.
you would know about the bubbles, yeah.
And I interviewed one of the guys from Mono Men. I was like, hey, is this story bullshit? And he was like, absolutely not. It is 100% true. There was this factory in downtown, like on the waterfront there, that used to make toilet paper, and they just had this giant pool that they actually had to set up sprinklers so the bubbles would pop,
yeah.
and not float around downtown. So I started looking for any sort of info outside of that, like in newspapers and stuff. And my friend who lives in Bellingham, I asked him, do you know anything about it? And he's like, actually, my regular claims he perpetuated this myth. He actually went down to the site and made these giant bubbles.
Really?
Yeah, he would, like, I don't know how he did it.
This is like turning
Yeah.
into like Erie, Indiana, that like TV show. Like the man who wears like one pair of clothes, making
The guy who
toxic
created the
bubbles.
huge
Yeah.
Volkswagen-sized bubbles.
Surely that's why Warren had such a boner for it.
Yes.
Would not let it drop.
Well, I still haven't let it drop. I still want to find this guy. If not for the pants, for the bubbles. Anyway, that's how he came to my attention. But another big one that got away from us that I think we might be working on for the second season is this thing about the mystery rock. there's this unsolved mysteries episode that takes place in Port Townsend.
Okay.
About this family.
We have a lot of listeners out there.
Out in Port Townsend.
Yeah, our AM signal gets there.
Yeah.
Oh, good.
Really strong.
The episode is from the first season, and it's the season that they were using the people who were in the stories in the reenactments.
Oh wow, that's pretty awesome.
Yeah, they only did it for one season for a reason, because it's terrible. And this is on Unsolved Mysteries forums.
That's strangely like almost like a Werner Herzog thing. Like, if I'm going to do a reenactment, I must have the people.
The real.
Yeah, and they're doing like murders and kidnappings, and people are crying as they're trying to reenact it.
And plus, you save so much money.
Oh, because for non-professional.
Right.
Yeah, and everyone wants to play themselves.
Right.
Like, of course, yeah, I'll go act like myself.
Yeah. So, I mean, one thing about that. So, Unsolved Mysteries once did an episode about Henry Rollins' roommate getting killed.
Really?
Yeah, and it's funny because knowing what Henry Rollins looks like and knowing what Joe Cole looked like, the reenactment is ridiculous. It's these like bros in like jeans and like baseball hats and like starter jackets.
Whoa! I will look for that.
And then Henry Rollins talks about it.
You know, those episodes are super hard to find.
They are.
Amazon Prime just put out a bunch of them, but they're
really?
only the ones that had updates.
Oh.
So, like, there's like, update on this story, like, we found this murderer, or, ghosts aren't real. And
you know what?
Somebody just pops up at the end of the episode and it's like,
Ghosts are real.
they just found out that ghosts aren't real.
I really liked that show as a kid. I was always disappointed when they did an episode about estranged children, like a kid who's put up for adoption, and like, we're gonna bring them back together, because it's like, who cares?
Yeah.
I'm sorry if you're adopted. I don't care.
no, I didn't
Don't
give a
eat
shit
accidents
about
on purpose.
But all-
anything that wasn't ghost or UFO related.
Well, but Unsolved Mysteries is where I first learned about the Unabomber. They did.
I do remember that,
They did an
yeah.
episode on the
When I was
Unabomber.
younger, yeah.
Did you know Matthew McConaughey got his first
That's
acting
I
gig?
really want to
Credit
see
is
that.
Unsolved Mysteries.
And it's
Was he playing
hysterical.
himself in a reenactment?
No, it wasn't first season. So the Mystery Rock is about these two little boys who go find a rock in a stream, and it's got these weird markings on it. Then one of the little boys brings his dad to check it out, and he's like, wow. And then that
Wow! I give a shit about my kid and his interests.
But then his family goes on to have like what they call an incredible streak of luck.
Oh, yeah.
They open 3 businesses.
What are the businesses called?
Oh, one's like what was the
candy store?
the candy store called? Like, Go Fudge Yourself or something like that.
Something like that. They
And-
opened a candy store, a movie theater, and what was the other one?
A women's clothing store.
All in the same mall.
All in the same mall, and they also
All
got like a
related.
really good deal on a house. That's it. That's the episode. And so on Unsolved Mystery forums, there's just how it came to my attention.
Yeah.
It's
You
it's
frequent
heralded
Unsolved Mystery forum.
as one of the
He's the
worst
curator of
episodes.
an
Of
Unsolved Mystery.
Yeah.
People call it like one of the least eventful episodes, and it's just, it's up there with like all the most terrible.
What's your moderator handle for that forum?
That's interesting.
Trench coats, fog, trench coat fog.
Trench coat.
Who do you think would win in a fight? Robert Stack or Jerry Orbach?
Ooh,
Jerry
Jerry Orbach.
Orbach.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He is more like
Ridiculous question.
Robert Stack is pretty cool, but Jerry Orbach is like streets. Like, he's Brooklyn. Like, he'll give you a fucking curb
Yeah.
job.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you know he's the voice of the Candlestick in the original
No.
Beauty and the Beast?
No, he's not.
Yeah,
For
he
real?
is. Jerry Orbach.
No.
Anyways,
Yeah, Dan.
has anyone pitched one to you and you're like, fuck no?
Yeah.
Does that happen a lot?
Do you
Where
want to
people
say
are.
one or?
I'll say because it didn't happen to me.
What,
All right,
yeah.
Alex, go ahead.
I'm really curious. What is this?
That guy who wanted to talk to us about his.
Please continue,
Yeah.
please.
No, I mean, like, that's exactly the kind of story we avoid, right? It's like, but Grandpa gave me a baseball and now I'm a baseball player.
Yeah.
It's got to have a couple more wrinkles than that.
So, changing gears a little bit, Warren before you did the podcast, I'd known you a little bit from Alex, but you wrote something for The Stranger, which I thought was really awesome. The 9 years working at one of the last video stores in America.
Yeah.
I was wondering if you could talk about that a little bit and see how that came about, because I thought that was a awesome piece of writing. And listeners, if you have not seen it, it's at the Stranger website. I would go and listen to it.
I was actually just thinking about that today because I did not mention my wife in that. And I
My
met
wife.
her.
Sorry.
I've been waiting on bated breath to do that all night. And I actually met my wife at the video store.
Do you remember what video she was renting?
No, but she would come up to me and specifically ask me what videos should she rent.
It's a single lady
Yeah.
who's looking for a boyfriend.
Yeah, as a single.
If you were in the market for a boyfriend, what would you rent?
And she told me one time that she came up to me and was like, "Can you recommend a foreign film?" And I was just like, oh, not another one of these questions.
And then you recommended Borat.
I was gonna say Borat.
Were you
I was
really?
really gonna say Borat. I was gonna say, and then Borat was the suggestion.
You know, you steal my jokes. No more guest hosting.
Great minds think alike.
But anyway, so can you just kind of say like what happened and how this came about? Because I think this is really great.
Well, how the essay itself came about.
Or I guess you know what? How about Alex sets up the video store, Warren sets up the piece.
Okay, well, it was a very small independent video store on 15th Avenue in Seattle, and it was cool. It was a cool place to work. I worked there.
The building itself was pretty cool.
It was a firehouse. Yep.
Wow.
Old brick firehouse.
And it was really cramped in there too, and I think that added to it.
It was super small. The carpet smelled so disgusting. Everything was broken. I worked there for like 6 years, and it was like 6 years until we got hot water. It was just cold water. And so you got all these like super disgustoid like film nerd people working together, and they're like just filthy, trying to wash their hands in cold water.
It's really not the direction I thought this was going to take. I thought you were going to like make our listeners think, "Wow, this is a cool place."
This is a charming,
No, it was the
it
best.
was
It
a
was
charming
the
little
best.
story.
It
The
was like,
staff, because like when we first met and you were having parties, it'd basically be like a bunch of cute people.
it
And-
was the best
yeah.
place in the world. It was like the greatest. If I could have any job, it would be that job.
And it was really amazing just the amount of videos we had.
Yeah.
Like we had everything, and we have a store here in town called Scarecrow that's kind of world renowned for specifically having everything possible. And everyone thought we were like a part of that organization because we were so comprehensive with just like making sure we got every little thing.
And everyone who worked there was really unique and weird and socially maybe not like the kind of people that you would really want doing customer service. At least in my case. Warren's a customer service professional.
That's what I like to hear. But so then it closed,
Yeah.
and you wrote this essay.
Yeah, well, I was at UW at the time, and I was taking a journalism class, and Paul Constant, who used to write for The Stranger,
Book guy.
had written this thing about Scarecrow starting a Kickstarter because they became a nonprofit, but he bookended his piece talking about the store and how sad it was that the store had just closed. And I wrote him, and I was like, "Hey, those are some really kind words you had to say, and I just wonder if you wanted to do like a whole piece about the store." And he was like, "Why don't you do it?" And I was like, "Oh, I kind of already did."
Oh yeah.
For my journalism class. And so I took that to him, and he took it to his editor, and and somehow I got published.
So there's one specific part that I really liked, and I actually have a copy of it, and I was wondering if you'd read it.
Oh my god.
Because I think this part I really, really like this part.
Okay. All right. So 9 years working at one of the last indie video stores in America was the best title we could come up with. To those who would say we were in a rut with entry-level jobs that had no opportunity for advancement, I would point out we were honestly doing what we were most passionate about, and in a thriving neighborhood still eager to support our endeavor, however ultimately futile.
And I just thought that was really great.
Thanks.
Beautiful, Warren.
That's, I mean, like,
No,
I
I
think
mean,
that's
yeah.
the reason I stayed for so long. It's just like I can't. I mean, why would you leave that?
Hey, I mean, you're talking
Yeah.
to a guy who's pushing 40 working at a record store. So
Yeah.
you're preaching the converted, my friend.
I think many of us. I mean, even though I went to school, like during that period, I believed that if the store was going to stay open, that I would just at least hold down a
Part-time.
part-time
Yeah,
thing
yeah.
there until it closed. But yeah, unfortunately, it closed while I was still in school.
When I was a kid, it was like literally my dream to work at a video store. I remember the first time I went to Hollywood Video, and it was like big,
Yeah.
and I was just like, "This is it. This is
This is
where
what I
wanna
want.
be.
This is what I want.
Give me a tuxedo shirt. I'm ready."
On show and tell, you came in with the rented Hollywood Video.
Yeah.
Oh man, do you know there was a Hollywood Video massacre where I grew up?
Was in Bowling Green.
Yeah.
But, sorry.
No, it was one of the biggest. No, it was just a huge local news. Like every night was all about the Hollywood Video massacre.
How many people perished?
I can't even remember, but
What
it was a
it
lot.
over?
Gang stuff.
Oh.
Yeah.
Was there like one like last copy of like some movie that they're playing over?
Blood in, blood out.
Ooh, great
Oh
movie.
my God! Yeah, maybe. I love that movie. It goes by multiple titles.
It's Bound by Honor or Blood in, Blood Out. Yeah, it's a great movie.
Bound by Honor.
So Alex, since I brought up Warren's pre-podcasting days as a writer, can I ask you when is Hair Vest gonna be playing a show?
Never.
What?
No.
Can you explain to our listeners what Hair Vest was?
Yeah. Hair Vest was a band that I was in that I played bass for. We had a singer, all of our friend Nathaniel. We had a singer, our friend Nathaniel. He would get on stage wearing like a thong and fishnets and a pearl necklace with a bow tie.
And for listeners, Nathaniel kind of looks like a cartoon version of like a 1900s strongman.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
We played like really shitty punk songs, and I think we were together for like 3 years. And we probably played 3 shows.
Well, because this was an era where every time the Capitol Hill Block Party was happening, Nathaniel would like form a band so he could play. Because your first show was at the Cha-Cha, wasn't it? During the Capitol Hill Block Party? Or was that your second
That was
show?
not our first show. That was
Okay.
probably our second. Maybe it was our second or third show.
So kids, if you want to know how to play the Capitol Hill Block Party, just be friends with someone who bartends at the Cha-Cha.
Yeah.
That's pretty much it.
That's exactly how it happened. We were invited back the next year, but we had broken up.
And so Nathaniel also, I mean, besides wearing all that, he would hide like a hot dog in the G-string and like pull it out and then like wave it. He did that.
I don't remember. I'm sure I don't not believe you.
It wasn't the Capitol Block Party show because I didn't go to that, but he did it and then he threw it to the crowd and his brother picked it up and ate it.
Oh.
There was also a show that we did where he made out with his brother.
I was
Sat
at
down
that show.
there,
I was
made
at
out
that
with
show.
him.
Didn't he have a severed hog head on a necklace at one point?
That was for another band.
Oh, okay.
My favorite
Another block party.
Another block party.
My favorite Hair Vest story though, because we always wanted to, like, we wanted Nathaniel to be like as glam as possible, like glam punk. And so for one show we did, I painted a big like David Bowie lightning bolt over his eye.
Mm-hmm.
And after the show, we went out and I think he got like a hot dog or like a soda or something from one of like the street vendors outside the bar. And this like kid, this like 12-year-old kid walked up to him and he was like, "Hey man, nice Gatorade symbol."
Oh my gosh.
So good.
Oh man.
Yeah.
You think that was real? Were you there? Did
Oh,
you
I was
see
there.
It? You
No,
saw
Oh,
that?
you
I
heard
was
it.
there,
You-
yeah.
Oh my god.
Yeah. We were dying. We were
That
just
was horrible.
yeah.
That is incredible.
But no, that band's never getting back together.
That's unfortunate.
I know.
So second season. So wait, so you're having the last episode coming out very soon?
Yeah. This week?
If folks wanted to find you, just what would they do? Just
You can type personal effects into iTunes, but it's not personal effects Sword of Blood. That's a different thing. We're just regular personal effects.
Yeah.
Yep. And personaleffectspodcast.com.
It's lucky that those still available.
Yeah.
What was that?
There's some nice music on the podcast. How'd that come about?
Yeah.
That's Patrick Flynn. That's my husband. He does it all. Well, not all of it. The first few episodes were actually friends of ours who had just had like old projects sitting around on their computers they sent over to us. So there was a bunch of really cool bands in the first couple episodes, and then once we kind of cashed in all our favors, Pat took over.
You know what's funny is once you had made me a mix CD, and on it Pat had recorded his own version of Danny Boy.
I know, that was for your birthday.
That was awesome. And what's funny is I was on a road trip for a job, and I rented a car, so had like a really good stereo. And I brought that to listen to. And when I put it in, it says like on the dash, it said like Patrick Flynn, oh Danny Boy, because like it just been encrypted or whatever. Like
Wow.
since you saved the file as
Yeah.
that, and
Whatever,
so it was
the
just
file,
really,
whatever the file name
yeah.
is.
And so it kept repeating, and it was just really funny to see Patrick Flynn, oh Danny Boy.
Funny.
It was really great. And then also for every episode, you have like a picture. And there's some very good halftones going on with those pictures. How do you get those pictures?
Oh, my wife does them.
Oh, very nice.
Yeah, she's a graphic designer. Janelle, graphicdesign.com if anyone wants to get any work done.
Her
It's
website's JanelleGraphicDesign.com.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
But Janelle can be spelled multiple ways. So
go ahead. and spell it.
Janell.
Did you get the same 10% off like you did when you bought the state?
Yeah,
For the
basically.
photo editing.
That's good.
It's really an inconvenience for her to be doing this, and so we're very grateful that she actually makes time to put these things out. And sometimes our objects, they can be difficult to do. Like the one we were talking about, the head.
Yeah.
There was no pictures of it. Even though this guy was a photographer, he didn't take any pictures of it, or he destroyed all the pictures of it because
Or took pictures of it and it wasn't there.
yeah, like a vampire. And because he didn't want to keep the curse around.
Yeah.
And so
Kept
He
it
was
thing.
spooked.
yeah, he was really, really spooked. Alex cried during that interview.
Putting Alex on
Man,
blast.
I
I wish I would have cried during one of our interviews. So let's say
It's not too late.
Yeah. Let's say Universal Studio buys the rights to personal effects.
Do we get to be on the Universal Studio ride?
Yes, yes,
As
and
long as we're an attraction on that ride, let people just go by us and we're just
Yeah.
like,
you have a bunch of it looks like a yard sale. You have a bunch of stuff. Who would play each of you in the movie?
oh, that's a good question. Emil
Are you gonna-
Hirsch? would
Wait,
play you.
what?
Who's that guy? Kind of looks like me. He was in Into the Wild, that movie that was written by Eddie Vedder.
Yeah. That's written by Eddie Vedder.
What?
I think he got in trouble for like some domestic abuse or
I
something.
never saw that. I don't know.
I don't want him playing me.
Who would
anymore.
play you? Elijah would.
Yeah.
Just
Ooh.
saying.
Does he even do anything anymore?
Yeah, I mean, he does.
The new seasons of Wilfred.
Who would really play you though? Oh, what about that guy from Game of Thrones, the scary guy?
Yeah, I don't know. He's a little too
Oh.
pretty.
Which guy?
Well, that's you
The one
train
that
up.
just-
for
Like the
your-
guy that like rips phone books in half.
The guy
the
who ripped-
weightlifter.
who chopped that guy's dick off.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's,
Not the mountain.
Okay,
no.
okay.
The guy that forces Sansa to marry him, right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Spoiler.
Alex.
Oh, I've got some nominees for Alex.
let's hear 'em.
What?
The girl that plays Supergirl.
God.
That's pretty good. I like
hate
that
that one. I hate that.
Even if you went back in time and you got what's her name? Legend of Billie Jean.
one.
Helen
No,
Slater.
you can't go back in. No, you can't go back in time.
You can't go back in
no
time.
Helen
it has
Slater?
to be now.
Oh, that's a good movie though.
I'll bet Helen Slater.
That's a
now.
great movie.
It's a really
What-
good
What's
movie.
fair is fair. Fair is fair.
Well, I think the best time I ever did karaoke was that song. I did a handstand, put the mic on the ground, and did a
did it.
handstand, and yelled at the mic.
Oh my god.
So I'm a man. I like a good cup of coffee, Where in town? Where's a good place to get a cup of coffee in this town? I know your favorite place closed. Oh wait, Alex.
I have a favorite place.
What's that?
It's called 701 Coffee, and it is on 23rd and Cherry. It is one of my favorite places in Seattle.
I just walked
It
by.
really
Of
is
all
great.
places.
Well,
Why?
Tell us about it.
Okay, it doesn't look like much from the outside, but
Or
on the
inside.
okay, well, on the inside they have lots of plants. They've just started purchasing that I've noticed, and it's like I think it's a family because the people who work there kind of like have a similar.
Is it the one with the loft?
Have similar unibrow?
No, they have like similar
That's
coloring. Like
right
they're
by
all
there,
natural
right?
blondes, which
Oh.
I think is rare. It's like a vegan place, I think. And they have food not
Oh, they have-
bombs
that's right.
posters, which like I didn't even know was still a thing. And every time I
It
go
is.
in
My
there,
coworker works for Food Not Bombs, actually.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, you don't
There
work
you
for
go.
Food Not Bombs.
I said my coworker works. Or sorry, does
Yeah.
Food Not Bombs. Sorry, that's yeah.
Yeah, but every time I go in there, they're playing like grunge music, and it's just weird. And they have these chairs that are all office chairs. Looks like they bought them from Goodwill. And they're like swivel chairs, they're not like office chairs. They're
they
literally
are office
That would be great.
chairs. You can
And-
adjust
It'd be
the
great if
height
someone
and the
just-
lumbar.
Well, it'd be just
Yeah.
great if someone just came
On
in,
the
sat
seat.
down, then wheeled up, got their coffee, and then pushed
Yeah.
across to
Pushed
where the
back,
creamer
yeah.
You
section
literally
is.
you could. And it's right across the street from the Nova School. So anytime you go in, there's always at least
I know what
one
you're talking
like
about. They got
goth.
Soft Taco Tuesday.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just great. I went in there for maybe 2 months before I realized it was vegan and just like eating all this stuff, which is I'm not a vegan.
Yeah.
But I didn't even notice.
That
And
means it's good then.
It's really good. And my daughter, she loves it there, and one of the main people who works there always calls her them, which I think is really funny.
Yeah.
Because she's like I mean, she's like a pretty girly one. She's
Yeah.
like wearing pink and tutus. Like it's not my thing. It's
Yeah.
her thing.
Yeah.
But the person behind the counter is always like, would they like a milk? Like just because they don't
Why
want
they
it.
might want, they don't want to
Gender
make the
neutral,
assumption.
Yeah, and I'm like, oh, this is like, look at you guys.
Yeah.
That's great.
You got a lot going on here. I love it.
Yeah,
Reminds me
it's
of old
cool.
Seattle. It's just weird.
It just, I mean, yeah, it's kind of the same thing as the video store, right? Like it's not.
Bringing it all back.
It's nothing fancy.
Yeah.
Why did you ask?
We always ask that at the end of the episode.
Oh.
I didn't realize
What-
we were at the end.
What is?
we get, I mean, I guess we can keep
I was
going.
like, I could talk about myself forever.
It's true.
He rarely
Warren-
gets this opportunity.
Warren, what's your favorite coffee?
I don't know. I mean,
I thought you were a fan of
broadcast.
Broadcast that just closed.
I don't think I
They
was
just
ever.
closed?
They closed.
I did not know that.
Yeah,
They
Wow.
closed on Capitol Hill. They still exist in the Central District on Yesler.
Oh, good for
Okay.
that.
Yeah, but I don't think I was ever really a fan of the coffee. I don't think I'm.
Well, I felt that like on Facebook, you're always just like at broadcast, and you'd say like something wacky that happened.
Yeah, because I was there because it was a good atmosphere for me to do editing.
Okay.
And I do a lot of coffee shop editing, audio stuff, editing our show, and some of the other stuff that I do. And I don't know why, I just work better in coffee shops. And that one I thought had just the least distracting atmosphere. But it reopened as something called Ghost Note, and it sucks.
Oof.
It's the exact same layout, except for there was this big table in the middle of the room that could seat like 4 or 5 people. They replaced it with one chair and one like tiny little table. Like who would want to
You just sit by yourself. in
sit
the
by
middle of it.
yourself in the middle of the room, right as like you walk in the door. Stupid. And it's also weird because they make you go sit down and then they bring you your coffee.
Don't like that.
Yeah.
Don't like that one bit.
I mean, I feel like I ran into that sort of thing in like San Francisco or something, but that's not how you do it in Seattle.
Yeah, I don't like it.
Wait at the counter.
Sam, where do you like to get your coffee?
That's interesting.
Actually, so you know what? Unfortunately, we are out of time. So I want to thank our guests, Alex and Warren. Any final words?
Thank you for having us.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Oh, let us know if you have a story.
Oh, and anyone out there, please, yeah.
where can they contact you?
personaleffectspodcast@gmail.com. We're also on Facebook at Personal Effects Podcast.
You tweet.
We tweet occasionally. No,
Don't
we
check
can
the
never
DMs,
remember
though.
that. It's I think it's at PFX Podcast.
Oh yeah, I like that PFX. That's a good letter. Sam, thank you for guest hosting.
Thank you for having me. Guest host.
Listeners, if you liked Sam as a guest host, please email in. If you didn't, please email in. And that's been another week of Access on Purpose. Just remember, keep one finger on the pause button, one foot in the grave, and fuck you for listening.
This has been a podcast presented by
Hard to Find Media.
Subscribe to Hard to Find Media on youtube.com/Hard to Find Media Network. This shit is free. Share it. Blast it. Fuck it.